Hey guys, welcome to our weekly team call. Tonight's topic is 5 ways to get your business in a constant state of growth. So Amber and I are both going to share our 5 ways, and then, if we have time, we could brainstorm more. But why I wanted to do this call is, one, we're like, what should we do a call on tonight? And so I was looking for some inspiration. And so often we hear from coaches like, I'm too busy, or I'm super busy. And it's really funny because it's almost like when I recruit somebody who says like they have a lot of free time, I'm like really skeptical. And I'm like, I don't want you on my team because I feel like busy people are more productive. Like when I worked a full-time job and had to build my coaching business, I was way more productive because I didn't have a lot of time to not be productive with. So, we're all going to be busy. We're all going to have stuff going on in our lives. But the cool thing is that you can build this business throughout that. And you still, even though you're busy, like we all have that, but you still want to see growth. And so tonight we are going to share just our 5 best practices for that. And I'm sure they'll be similar, but maybe we'll have different twists on them too. So I don't know. Amber, maybe you want to start with else.
Yeah, I can start with mine. And then I want to hear if there's any, after we go, if anyone else has anything they want to add to it of things that have helped move their business or grow their business. But I wanted to add on to that fact that so I did this business for 3 years while I worked a full-time job in the salon. I didn't have a baby then. So my life is a lot different currently. But I agree with Kate that there's also this, so I was every little free moment I had, between clients. I was telling Shelby today on a call that sometimes I would go to the bathroom to get away from everyone so I could do a post, because I worked with a bunch of girls and there was always as soon as I picked up my phone to work, that's when they wanted to have an in-depth conversation. So I would hide and do work, and then all I wanted to do was coach. There would be times where I'd get up and do it, and then I'd be I don't want to go to the salon. I just want to work on coaching. And then ironically, when I got to go full time with coaching, I realized that I almost was she said, Kate said, more productive when I had smaller amounts of time, because I'd be I've only got 30 minutes. I've got to do this. When right now it's this mind thing where I've got I've got 4 hours. And then all of a sudden I realize that I have to be really diligent with my time. So it's a misconception that if you go full time, you're going to yes, you'll have more time to have more leisure time, but it doesn't always mean you'll be more productive, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, so I just texted mine to Kate today. So I'm gonna go back to my list here. These are just things that have helped me grow, and what I think is what I've seen in other, my coaches, what I feel has helped them grow. These are just some items. So my first one is, asking questions on our social media to open up dialogue and connections. I feel like we all are getting the hang of this, with our polls and the way that we engage with our customers. But I definitely feel when I started off everything being about me because it's my social media, but I found that the more I shared in a way or asked questions or tried to engage to share my story, but in a way where it was more engaging with other people, it wasn't just about me. And I heard on, forget where now, some personal development I did at some point where it was you make your customer or your audience the hero. They want to admire your story, but make it about them, because that's going to turn from people from being good for her to I can do it too. So I think it's important to ask questions. And it can just be little things what are you doing for Mother's Day? Or what's your favorite, I don't know, I can't think right now, a favorite brand of something that you like, or, just something you'd ask a friend, treating your social media like they're your friends. Number 2, these are all kind of there's no order to these, showing up with the good and the bad, to remind everyone it's a lifestyle. So even if you're having an off day, or you don't feel cute, or you don't feel like your workout was that great, or whatever it is, we have that. We're human. And so I feel for me and what I've seen with other people, growth continues to happen by showing up and showing both sides, like not just showing the highlight reel. Cause I get a lot of people that connect with me because they see that it's a lifestyle, it's real, you know? So I feel like the people that are not just trying to have perfect posts are going to grow faster. Making sure that your personal development is geared towards leading. So when I first started my personal development, I still like these, like You Are a Badass and anything by Gabrielle Bernstein. Like I love all those. But I've kind of had to switch it to do more personal development that's geared around being a leader. Because I never really saw myself as a leader. And even though we're all our own bosses, like if you are signing up coaches and want to grow a business, then you are a leader too. And so it's really good. The sooner that you can do any kind of personal development around leading and being a good leader can help you interact better with the people that you're going to work with, but also reflect on how, you know, you can just grow, you know, in your own way. So some that I like, I can put these in the chat or put them in our groups. But my favorite ones from the last 6 months have been Brene Brown, Dare to Lead, Keith Callahan, Built to Last. He is a Beachbody coach that, like, you guys might know Haley Christian with the pink hair. She's one of his coaches. Nobody really knows about Keith Callahan because he doesn't care about recognition, but he wrote a really great book and I got it on Audibles. I think you can get it on Amazon. And I just really, really loved his approach to the business. I mean, it's really good. So, and then the other one is Take Control of Your Life by Mel Robbins. So this is, I've been telling some of you guys about it this week because it's an Audibles exclusive book and it's by Mel Robbins, who also did the 5-second rule. This book is not just about leading though. I mean, I feel like it's a good personal development book for everyone. But it's like a long coaching session where she talks to, I think I'm on like the third or fourth person. And there's a lot of like science mixed in too. And it's just really smart and interesting and all about how fear controls us. And it's not just about like, take control of your life. Like it actually gives you like, facts and interesting things to like look at your life with, like, I don't know. Guys have to check it out, but it's an Audibles exclusive. So you have to listen to it. There's no like physical book. And then I've got a couple more here. Should I just keep going, Kate? I don't even know how many we're supposed to do. This is a big one for me. So this has to do with growth mindset and fixed mindset, which we could do like a whole nother call on. And there's a lot of information out there about this, but as someone that used to be more negative, I definitely came from a more fixed mindset. I had like a set idea of like how things were and how I was and how I was supposed to be and how the world was. And as I've become a coach, I've realized that there's not one way. And, you know, I didn't think 5 years ago that I would be a health and fitness coach, and here I am. So I think what I wrote down is looking for another way. What's your first reaction? Now look again and think bigger to solve it. So if you're confronted with any kind of objection in life, I still have to do this. Sometimes I have to take a second and not respond because my brain wants to get defensive. Okay, I'll give an example today. So I have a coach who signed up as a coach and a challenger, and she's been rocking it. She's working out an hour a day, but she never was interested in working the business side of things. And she messaged me today on Instagram and was like, I'm canceling my coach account, something. Just wanted to give you a heads up. And my initial, I always get so sad, like when my coaches quit, like it bums me out. And she'd already canceled. So there was really nothing I could do. Plus I don't want to talk people into this business. So I'm not going to be like, no, don't go. But I didn't reply right away. And I waited about an hour, and then I wrote her and I was like, thanks for the heads up. I'm still here for you as your coach. And she wrote back, thank you so much. I'm working out an hour a day. I feel amazing. And then I realized, I'm still coaching her. I'm still changing her life. Like, I'm so glad I didn't make it about me and just say something, like passive aggressive or like, cool, good luck or something which entered my mind, which is fucked up. But because it's not about me. And it's like, of course my goals are to build a team and but I still affected this girl's life, even though she doesn't show up, post any accountability or do anything. Like, I'm still changing her life. So that's an example of like, or another example, I don't want to call people out, but like I posted in my team page, like, so first of all, on Beachbody, I went through my downline and I sent through Beachbody, you can do an email. So I did an email capture where I was like, hey, all my personally sponsored coaches, do this commitment form. But then I had a feeling, I was like, well, I'm sending it through Beachbody. What if some get lost? So then I reposted it in Team TCB and I said, hey, you guys should have got an email, but if not, whatever, here's this form. And some people were like, I had to be like, hey, are you guys going to fill this out? Especially because I know they've told me that they're interested in working business. And somebody wrote, well, I didn't get the email. And I'm like, okay, but like, let's problem solve here. Like, let's move along. Like the time it took to say that, you could have already booked the call, you know? So I think it's just important. Like, if you want to work a business, you can't say you want to work a business, but then get stopped so easily, you know? So if you are faced with any kind of objection, take a second, think, okay, how can I get around this? Like, okay, this sucks or this is going on, but let me take a deep breath. How can I look at this from a different perspective to make it a positive thing? And that has really helped me because my brain wants to start from a negative place. I have to like really think about it. So that's like a big one for me. Just be a problem solver. Try to be positive. You never know what people are going through. And I didn't mean to call out, like, I feel bad if that person like watches this and they're like, hey, but I just mean like in general, from a leader's standpoint, and I'm not your boss, but if my boss said, hey, it's clear that the form is there for you guys to fill out. And it's not really necessary to be like, but I didn't get it. It's like, well, I know I thought that you might not, that's why I put it here. So, so just like try to be a problem solver. And then this one I think is really important, checking in with our upline throughout the week. So another reason why I've been doing one-on-one calls with my coaches that want them is because I feel like it's really important. We talk so much about community and connection, and I don't want it to just be about who's got the top success club points. Like, I feel like if we're going to be a community, we need to touch base more, and I'm willing to give my time if people are willing to give their time. And I realized that like I have since the beginning been very in contact with Kate. And I think that when you guys start going to events and building a team and getting recognized from like Amy and all that stuff, like you're going to feel even more like part of the community. So that's just going to happen. But in the meantime, your upline's here for you. So like, I've never left Kate alone. Like, she can't get rid of me. So and she lives in the same town as me, but honestly, you guys, like, we don't see each other nearly as much as you might think, even though we both live in the same town. And it's just because life, busyness. And like I said, I worked in the salon for 3 years for the first half. So I was busy. I had a kid, I was busy. And I remember liking that she lived in Portland, but honestly being like, do I have to meet up with you because I'm busy and I don't know if I want to? But now I just think it's for that. I am trying really hard to touch base with any of my PS coaches that want to work with me. But as you guys grow your teams, you guys need to be responsible for also checking in with your upline. But as you grow teams to keep that connection going, because I just feel like that's the only way we're all going to move forward, is if we're like really working together. And if you can't show up to these calls live, and that's fine. Because like, I've thought about it, like, okay, this time of day is hard for a lot of the East Coast people, but we still have some that show up, even though it's late for them. And, I feel like me and Kate could make this at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and there still would be someone that can't make it. So if you can't be here live, then just make it a point to try to connect with your upline in some way. Like, just be your own boss, but like be accountable to yourself by tuning in, checking in. And then last thing I have is, I guess is kind of connected, showing up with keeping your accountability going. So I think a lot of us have our own groups going, but I still post my accountability pretty much daily in the group, even if nobody, it's not like my coach is in there cheering me on, like Kate has her own group, I have my own group, but I've always kept my accountability going because I wanted to lead by example, and it really helps my journey. So I feel like as coaches, just we're still on a journey. So I think it's important to be the example in our groups, and show up. And I feel like we all do that, but that's just something that I've noticed, that people that are consistent with that have seen more growth. And for a while I would like post in Kate's group and in mine, and now I don't even think I'm in her challenge group anymore. But yeah, so those are my things that came to my mind today.
I really like those. And what? I just dropped my notes. I literally, hold on, now I have to find my page. I do want to say, and one thing that I knew that you had written it down, so I didn't add it to my list, was the part about doing this. Where did I freaking, okay, I found it. Where did I put it? But like really leaning in, like your biggest growth, I think, in your business and in just life and in your journey in general is going to come from being a product of the product. So I just really want to stress that no matter how long you've been a coach, no matter how long you've been doing this, like it's very important that you are plugging into your challenge group, that you are running new groups every month, that you are checking in with people, that you are staying accountable to your own fitness journey. Like I've definitely over the years like hit plateaus where I just wasn't focusing on my nutrition or whatever, or I was like half-assing my workouts. But like your business will only grow as much as you do. And like if you're not pushing in your fitness journey for whatever reason, then like you need to make up for that in another area. But I mean, obviously we all go through different stages of our life, and like you'll have different goals at different phases, obviously, but like it's not like solely a results-based business, but like your body is your business. So it is really important to take that seriously. And like that was a big reason why I became a coach in the beginning, was the accountability, so I wouldn't quit on myself. So I think that's like really important to remember, that first and foremost, we have to be taking care of ourselves. Like if you're not seeing growth in your business, you need to look at your personal growth and your personal journey and where you might be struggling with your fitness or maybe your nutrition or your personal development. And one of the things that I wrote down is for my list, and I will start, is like listening to personal development every day. But also for growth, like you can listen to it on, if you're somebody who is busy, because mine were like also growth things to keep your business going, but just growth in general. And it all comes back, I think the biggest thing is personal development. So if you are busy, listening to it on Audible, like make sure, for me, a lot of the time now, today it was like rainy, but it's been super nice here for the most part. So I've been like getting outside to like go for a walk for like 30 minutes and putting my PD on. And then what's really cool is if you have an iPhone, and I'm pretty sure Androids have something like this too, but you can do the voice memo. Like if I'm doing Audible, I don't necessarily like take notes like I would, especially if I'm like out walking or if I'm doing dishes or I'm listening to my personal development or in the shower. I always have my phone like propped up on the thing so I can hear it, but I'll just like stop it and I'll do a voice memo. You say sorry, like whatever, and just save a voice memo so then you can go back to it. Because I think with personal development, it's really important to make sure that you are growing from it and you're actually implementing those things and you can share those things. And then with also that, it's like if you're super busy and you can't be on these team calls live, like listening to the recording while you're on the go, maybe in the car, or listening to the National Wake Up Call podcast if you can't watch it live, like finding those times to really tune in, because they're always in these calls, the Set Your Soul on Fire calls, like the National Wake Up calls, like they're all opportunities for growth. And like that's what this business comes back to. And sometimes I get in this place where I'm like, oh, well, I've listened to, I feel like I've heard this before, like these personal development books before, or like when you've been listening to it for so long, or even leadership. And I'm like, I don't know if I need to hear this. And I'm like, but I'm not where these people are in their life. And then I give myself that reality check, and I'm like, they're way more successful than I am. There is always something I can learn. So even if it's a similar message, try to find something else you can take away from that and like really learn, because you're not where you want to be, and like you're never going to be. And that's the thing, and why it's important to always evolve with your personal development too. But And that was a big one that I wanted to focus on. And then my second point was invite everywhere. So when you're like inviting in this business, because this business, like your business will go stagnant if you don't invite consistently. And this is inviting in your DMs when you start conversations with people, inviting them, inviting in your Instagram stories or watching other people's stories and sending them an invite based off what they're sharing, inviting in your emails, sending out newsletters, inviting through your newsletters, inviting in your posts, commenting on people's posts, inviting them. Like there are so many different ways to invite. And then I also really wanted to stress too, inviting in person, which is totally even more intimidating, I think. But it's so much more fun. Like when you're getting out, because I do this full time, I like make myself get out of the house a couple times a week, because otherwise I go stir crazy. But if I'm like going shopping or at the grocery store, or if I'm working from a coffee shop, I always start up conversations with the baristas or with my person ringing me up or with somebody in a grocery store aisle. Like there's always people you can invite. If you are a mom and you're dropping your kids off at school or off at like soccer, or I'm trying to think, my sister has like 3 kids in school and they do all, like my sister's kids are in like taekwondo, ballet, gymnastics, Girl Scouts. Like there's so many things, but she comes in contact with so many other moms. Like there's so many people you can invite in your daily life, dependent on like what you do, people who you work with, but like there's always ways to strike up conversations. I've totally sold a challenge pack standing in line at Starbucks, talking to somebody about just, I can't even remember what started that conversation. Another one where I sold a challenge pack. I was waiting for the bus. It was when I worked at Starbucks and I worked at the mall, and I had just gotten done with a shift and I was waiting for the bus, and I started a conversation with somebody who was waiting for the bus too. And we were talking about how she was like, oh, did you just get done? And I was like, did you just get off work or something? Which it can be totally awkward. And obviously you want to read the room or like read the people that you talk to. But I was just started up a conversation. I'm like, oh, did you just get off work? And she said, yes. And she asked me if I had just gotten off work. And I said, yeah, from my part-time job. And now I'm going home to my other job. I'm actually a health and fitness coach. And she's like, oh, that's really cool. I actually have a trip coming up this summer and really want to lose weight. And so I ended up telling her about the 21-day fix, because this was like 5 years ago, when the 21-day fix first came out. And she did the 21-day fix with me. So like there's always ways to start up conversations with people, and like don't shy away from that in-person contact. Like I think that's huge. And one thing that Amy said that was when I was a new coach that really stuck with me was like, have a 3-foot rule when you're out in public. And obviously, again, like be aware, like people don't talk to like a sketchy person on the street, or like don't, like people who you want to work with. That still applies to like people in real life, like talk to somebody about their shoes or like strike up a conversation, whatever. If you're getting gym equipment or getting new workout shoes or what, like there's so many ways to strike up conversation in your daily life. But don't be afraid to talk to people, and don't be afraid to tell people what you're doing. And sometimes what really helps is creating like a little elevator pitch and practicing it. This is what I did when I was a new coach, and I was like, Amy challenged me like when I was working at the mall before my shift or after my shift to talk to like 20 people. And so I would be such a weirdo. Just imagine me, like a slightly younger me, slightly new coach, and I would walk around the mall and walk into stores and be really awkward and just strike up conversation with people, because it started with Amy making me create 50 new contacts a day. And I didn't have like a big Instagram following then. I had like 400 people, and I had like however many Facebook friends. So I was like, okay, well I can add like 30 people a day, but I still have like 20 I need to talk to. She's like, well, walk around the mall before you get to work or after you get to work. So I'd be really creepy, and I would just start up conversations with people. But people like to listen, and I just like made myself come up with an elevator pitch explaining what I did, how I help people, how I run these groups. And it wasn't like word vomit. It wasn't telling people exactly the cost or anything. But I feel like it's actually easier to tell people the cost in person when they're buying something, because you're like, this is what you could be spending your money on. Anyways, I just really want to stress the importance, because that will really help you grow. Also, so when you get into situations, because eventually if you are doing this and you are growing your business and you're getting recognized, like you're going to run into your friends, your family, like those people who ask you what you're doing. Then you can say really confidently what you're doing, and you know what to say, and you never know who you can invite. Like I like to think about personal trainers or people who teach CrossFit or people who teach yoga, and like how they have to recruit people, and like they go and they talk to people. It's like the same thing, except so much easier. Anyway, so I really wanted to stress that. Now, number 3 is work in cracks of your day and stop scrolling if you have like the small cracks. So say you work full time. When I worked at Starbucks, what I would do is when I had my break, I would run to the bathroom too, because I didn't want people talking to me. And I would post, and I would do whatever I could within that 10 minutes and hide in the bathroom. But I would like work in those small cracks of my day. And like, don't scroll and say you're working, like honest, real talk, just like, and I've totally been there too, when you're like, oh, I'm working, but you're scrolling on Facebook, or you're scrolling, looking at somebody else's highlight reel or whatever, when you could be building your business. You could be sending out your invites, getting new friends on Facebook, commenting on people's stuff, liking on people's stuff, hey girling them, like sending interactions, like work within the time that you have, and be very diligent and very serious about that. And there are so many things, like we've talked about the Success Club tracker. We've talked about like power hours. Like there are so many different ways to do it, but just be very specific about what you need to do every day to grow your business. And then one thing I wanted to say, and this is something that I need to do, which is why I wrote it down. But like hire help when you need it. So whether it's an assistant in your business, and I know a lot of you guys aren't there yet, or like whether it is maybe somebody to come clean your house because you have all these other things going on, and you could spend that hour or 2 hours that somebody's cleaning, like working your business, or whether it is somebody walking your dogs, or like whatever, like just if you need help, like hire somebody to help you, like be willing to invest into your business and invest in yourself. And like, that's something I need to do this year, is I really need to hire an assistant. I've been really stubborn about that, but like delegate, because this is your business and you're the CEO. And again, like it's only going to grow as much as you put in the work. But if you need help, like find a way to get help. When I was first like, maybe like my second year of full-timer, like even last year, Dylan, when things were better, he was like helping me with my follow-ups, or he would send my follow-ups, and then I would do the dishes, or I would make dinner or whatever. So like negotiating even with family to like help you, finding different ways to make that work for you. This one, I think it's really important, because if you don't know where you're going, like nobody's going to follow you. So, and this is something I want to focus on with growth, is like know your vision, know like what you're working towards, and read that vision daily. And this is something recently I had to revisit, because my vision has changed so much. Like, and it's your vision, what you have today is going to change like a year from now, 6 months from now. Once you start accomplishing your goals, or life happens and things change, like your vision's going to change. So write out your vision, sorry guys, your vision, and be very clear about what it is, like what you want to wake up and what you want your day to look like. Be very specific about how much money you want to make, the house you live in, the way you feel about ending your day, the people you want around you, like what you want your business to look like, how many people you want to be helping, how many leaders you want to have on your team, like the vacations you want to take. Oh yeah, and the that, why can't I have it right in front of me too. Moira's Rise Up journal. There's a big part about that. So it's really important that you get very, very specific and very clear with your vision. And again, it's going to change, but like know what your vision is, write it out and read it every single day, and then know your goals and know what you're working towards every month. Put it on the screensaver of your phone, put it on the screensaver of your laptop, put it on a sticky note everywhere. In the bathroom, in your mirror, like where you're going to see it, on your bedroom wall, like wherever you need to see it to like stay accountable to your goals, like put your goals somewhere where you can see them. Because if you are reminding yourself of them daily, if you are sitting down and looking at them, that will help you like into the actions that need to happen to achieve those goals. And then the last thing that I really wanted to say was like help others grow and connect with your people. Like helping, this is really big for growing your business and for growing yourself, but like it's really important when you learn something, like teach it. And so this business, like whether it's coaching, whether it's your challengers, like getting on, maybe you don't have a lot of time in your week and you want to have more one-on-one calls with your clients. This is something I'm starting to do again. I had 3 today where it was like my challengers and we were talking about last week and their workouts and their nutrition and how they were feeling. And if they had any meal prep, like questions or anything that they were struggling with, we just like had that touch point. But there was a point where I just wasn't making time for those and, kind of calls, and I would do Zoom calls and I would do an hour like Zoom call a week. Amanda and I used to do one for our challenge group and I may get back to that soon, where I'm just doing an hour call once a week, like on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, where I just answer people's questions and we check in, and it's a Zoom call so people can see the community. But like, it's important with your coaches, with anybody, like help other people grow. It will help you grow too. Like, it's like learn, do, teach. And I think that's really also empowering because that sets you up as a leader. And that's what this business is all about. Whether you feel like a leader yet or not, like you signed up as a coach, you have helped somebody get started, I'm assuming. Like most of everybody has. And if you haven't yet, you're still sharing your journey. Like you're inspiring people, you're a leader. So these are all things that are going to help you like continue to step into that role, but like things that will really empower you, and like teaching somebody else about this business, teaching somebody else about the like Ultimate Portion Fix, teaching somebody else about just like staying on track with their nutrition or ways to like, you know, whatever. It's really empowering and it's really helpful for you too, because that goes back to the accountability aspect of keeping you on track. So those were my best tips on growth. Does anybody else have any that they want to share?
I just took notes. Thank you guys. I think that this was very helpful, and yeah, I just figured somebody should pipe up since it's usually you guys ask and then everybody's like, I don't really have anything to say. So.
And one thing I want to say too is that I wrote down on like a corner that I forgot to mention was like, if you are really busy and you like, there are just some days where like you're feeling yourself and other days where you're not feeling yourself, for instance, like, and this is more about like business growth, but like take a lot of pictures. And this is something I did a lot when I worked full time, is like when I had my days off, I would go change a bunch of times and I would maybe tweak my makeup or something, and I would take a bunch of pictures and I would have that to post. But like having those things, you know, like when you're like feeling yourself, or even if you have like lately, I have those days where I just feel gross and then days where I feel cute. And days where I feel cute, I will change my shirt a bunch of times, or I'll change my outfit a bunch of times. I'll take different angles. I'll look up inspiration. Amber has seen my crazy like inspiration. I do things on Instagram, because if you guys didn't know, you can save posts, and I have all these little like basically like post inspo things that I'll like from other coaches or other people who I follow on Instagram to get like post ideas from. So you could just do that.
I wanted to share something, because you were talking about like talking to people in your life. And when I was knew I was in the salon full time, and I really didn't want to feel like I didn't want to pressure anyone that was sitting in my chair. I wanted it to be about their hair and them. Like, I didn't want to make it about this other thing I'm selling. So, but because my energy was changed. Like, I think at first I didn't even look dramatically different, but my clients could tell there was a change. So if you are really, working on yourself, like, the people around you are going to just start to notice. And if they happen to follow you on social media, they might see some changes happening. So what would happen is, someone would sit in my chair that maybe followed me on Instagram before I had a ton of followers, or they just were like, you seem different. Like, you look really good. What's going on? And instead of word vomiting, I just would be like, oh, I'm doing this at-home workout program. It's awesome. It's like, and there's an accountability group, and it's just clean eating. It's really cool. If you want to know more, I could totally send you info later. And then that would leave it. So then I had planted the seed. I could bring it back to their hair and not make it weird. And then I would get their email, or I've already had their phone number maybe, or email. And then I would send them the same scripts I send everybody, but I might omit some parts because I kind of knew them already, but I would still keep them in an email. So then that way I signed up a lot of people that way and the very, very beginning. But that way, if they weren't into it, it wasn't a big deal. So then when I saw them next time for their hair, they weren't like, oh, sorry. They were just, I'd only bring it up if they did. So that was my style. And it was a way where I was still able to plus I didn't want my boss to be like, stop talking about Beachbody. She never did care. She actually ended up signing up. But everybody, I just did it in a respectful way. So I feel like there's a way to within your coworkers and people you already know, and your own community could actually need this. And they might be afraid to ask, or they might ask passively, oh, you look really good. What's going on? And don't be afraid to just use that as an invite. It doesn't have to be a whole sales pitch, but it can just be a quick, an elevator pitch. Just oh, this is what I'm doing. It's really cool. You should do it too. And then just plant that seed and then offer. And then there's nothing wrong with when you see them again, they'll still see how great you look. And, it could be something that they join you later. So don't be afraid to do that. And I also used a lot of words like we, us, my group, because I didn't want to be people that knew me. I at the time I felt kind of silly being oh, I'm a coach now. I'm a fitness professional. I didn't feel confident saying that. So I just leaned on what was the truth. We had a community. So I was oh, you should join us. I'm doing it again. I had found this girl on Instagram. She's awesome, but I didn't send people to her. I just told people what I was doing. So yeah.
And one thing too, I would add is, I've handed so many people my phone and be friend me on Facebook. I'll add you to my, if I was talking to a barista who I was telling who I used to be a barista, now I'm a full-time coach, and they're oh, that sounds really cool. I've been looking for a side hustle or something. I'd be friend me on Facebook, and later I'll message you and add them to my sneak peek, or about a challenge group, or but always getting somebody's email, always giving my email. In the beginning, in my first 2 years of my business, I actually had business cards made. I for when I would walk around the mall and be a weirdo and start conversations with strangers. I was so awkward the first few times. Have you guys seen the movie? What is it? Oh my God, it's gonna drive me crazy if I don't think about it. The Duff. The Duff. Anybody? It's a romantic comedy. There's this scene where this is literally how I felt when I was a new coach, but there's this scene where the main character, the Duff, is designated ugly fat friend. Horrible, but this is what she was, and she's adorable, and it's this actress that I adore, and she's hanging out with this popular guy, and he's trying to get her to talk to other guys, and she goes to the mall and she has to practice, and she walks up and says really awkward things, and this is literally this is literally how I am. This is literally how I did it. I was so awkward in the beginning of anyways, I need to find a clip from that movie and share on the team page so you guys can understand how awkward I was. But it's just something you get better at. And it's something that, and with this business, with anything, you have to be able not to like take yourself too seriously and like laugh at yourself. Like anytime I've accidentally sent somebody the wrong message or sent somebody a message with the wrong name, or like, I'll never forget, I was emailing somebody and I assumed they were a girl and I kept saying, hey girl, hey girl. And finally they were like, actually, I'm a dude. And it was like, I literally couldn't tell based off their response. And I felt so bad. And I was so embarrassed, like so embarrassed. But all I had known, like a friend had referred them and they're like, oh, my friend, Brooks is interested in doing a group, and Brooks, I had assumed it was a girl, and just because I normally work with women, and my friend hadn't used any like he, she pronouns, and like so I just assumed, and they're like, actually, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I normally work with women. But it's like you have to like roll with the punches, and this business is all about getting uncomfortable and being comfortable getting uncomfortable. Like that's where growth happens. Like that's where growth in this business, that's where growth in life, that's where mental growth happens. I have been working with a counselor and I was talking to her about something today. And I was like, you know, I know things are going to get easier, but I have to have like a few like uncomfortable situations like this. I have to have some uncomfortable conversations first. And she was like, you can't like avoid that part. And I've been listening to, Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. And she talks about that too. Like you can't avoid the uncomfortable situations and that vulnerability. And like, in order to get to growth, in order to like change. And my counselor was saying that like repeat. And I know that, but sometimes we try to avoid that awkward first step or like that like awkward feeling or the thing that we know is going to be uncomfortable or whatever. But like, you'll have to just do that to grow. And that's the same thing with your business, to like find your groove. So anyways.
Anyone have any questions or anything? I know we just kind of gave you a bunch of tips, but no, cool. Well, thanks for being on the call. I don't know if there's anything else.
I think that's it. Oh, I did want to mention because, and I keep freaking sleeping through these. I did last week and I did this today, but Eden is doing her power hours Tuesday, Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 11 a.m. Eastern, or is that noon Eastern? That's noon Eastern. Why can't my brain work? Why can't my brain do math?
That's correct.
I'm like, why can't 9 plus 3? That's 12. So she has those every Tuesday, Wednesday, and she's like posting the links in the team page. So if you guys want to hop on it, I'm going to try to hop on tomorrow. I slept through my alarm today, but I just want to mention she has those going on too. But yeah, thank you guys for being on the call. And if you have any suggestions for next week, we are open to them. And I hope you guys have a good night.